Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. We have another interesting video here. This is a 2001 Chrysler 300M. It has a 3.5 liter engine, V6, 24 valves. Customer complaint is that the check engine light is on and it has a rattling kind of like underneath on the engine. I have not really heard that much, but I'm suspecting a catalytic converter. I'm going to show you why. First, obviously I already ID the vehicle, and I have let me make sure the ignition is on, and I think it's not. Let me put the ignition back on. Alright, so we got the ignition on. I'm gonna show you the codes. I already, like I said, ID the vehicle, and then we have P0206 injector 6 control circuit. So this is very clear that we have an issue on that injector. This is a very old vehicle, so the first thing I did is I went and connect my scope. I have very good access to the coil, but I still put this very good leads that I have from Matco. No, Cornwall, sorry. No, actually Matco. Yeah, these ones are. It has a female on one side and the male on the other side, so you can connect in between the wiring without disturbing it, and then you connect your scope and into these leads like I have. So channel 2 will be, sorry, channel 1, which is my blue cable, is on the ignition primary circuit, and then channel 2, which I'm using the green cable, but in the picoscope is the red channel, so don't get confused with that. It's on the signal coming from the computer to ground the injector. I already checked the power. It's very hard to get to that connector. Let me show you where that connector is. It's right under the ignition coil, under the intake manifold. So what I did is I used a pick and I open up the connection and then pull the wire, and it has long enough so you can bring the wire out, put your lead on, and then connect back. While I have that out, I check for power, and I do have a power on one side, so that is not the issue. And I have no signal on the injector. I have a signal on the primary circuit, as you can see. Let me take this light off. So this is a capture with the car running. This is under acceleration. Let me go back to like where this is you will call a very normal primary waveform. I have attenuators on both of the channels. These are high voltage signals, so be careful with protecting your scope. You don't want to damage it with like picks of like, I think, let me see what this primary is producing. Just yeah, it's very high, so the ruler away from there, because I need to put it up. Actually, that's a second ruler I don't need. Again, it's picking up that one. Sorry guys, trying to move this closer. So what I was just doing is just moving the ruler to the top of that pick, and it's 393 volts. Hope you guys can see that well in there. So it's a very high spike on the primary. Again, just be careful with that. Let me go back to what we need to see. So again, on idle, you will consider this a very normal primary waveform. So I will go, let me just zoom out a little bit, and like that I can go back to where the car is actually misfiring. Not misfire, because as you can see, we have no signal. The red channel is not producing any injecting waveform. So let me just go to a capture when I do the acceleration, so you guys can see how a link condition shows. Okay, this is a very good one. Just starting. This is just starting on the acceleration. I'll probably raise it up maybe 2,500 RPMs. But this is very good. This is how you become, an expert, or at least familiar with what a link condition should look. So again, that was a very normal under idle so I didn't get any like big signs of a link condition. But as soon as you accelerate it, you see that high spike again. From the burn time on the waveform, the middle of that lane backwards should be outside the cylinder, and from there to the right it should be considered inside the cylinder. That spike going up is a high resistance caused by no fuel on the system, so that is what is considered a link condition. If you would have a spike going down, then that will be rich condition. So the next step that I need to do on this vehicle will be to check that wiring all the way to the computer, make sure I have no opens, or in this case not a short, because otherwise the injector will be always on, and that's not the case. So again, I have to check that wiring from the injector to the computer to call this ECM bad, and most likely the cause of the failure is a shorted injector. It's a little hard to check that injector for ohms or resistance because it's just too deep inside. So the only way that I can do that probably will be disconnecting the wiring and then try to see if I can get a reading from there. But again, it's a little hard. When you're checking resistance, you should unplug the device that you are checking and then measure from pin to pin, on the injectors from one pin to the other pin. But it is almost impossible in this case. So again, let me check that computer, and as soon as I got everything set up, I will show you guys too. All right, show you how how the car is running and have that capture for you too, because most of the times I don't want to do this because there's a lot of fuel, but in this case the injector is not even coming on. So again, the scope is not running, so let me just that is kind of funny. Now I have a signal and I can feel the car running good. Before I didn't have that one, so this will call out that wiring. I didn't move anything, so I'm glad I come back to show you guys this, because right now we got a injector working. I can feel the car running very steady, no misfiring. No misfiring at all. Let me save this before the car start reacting to have a running good capture. So let me stop 1 second this, guys, and let me save this. Again, this is a good capture. I just want to save it to for my files. Alright guys, so again, this is a very normal or a very good looking waveform. That's what I was expecting to see before. So we have now, by looking at this one, you can now see what a good primary waveform should look. You see you're always looking for this waveform going up a little bit at the end on the burn time. I think it's called pinning, and it's normal looking waveform. So by comparing to this one, you know that the other one was even an idle, showing us a link condition. So that is also a way for me to know that it's not that I didn't have the scope connected correctly to the injector, because my primary waveform obviously show a big difference. So I'm going to show by opening the other one, but I want to see this injector waveform first with you guys. So again, that is a very normal looking injector waveform. We can see the hump on the injector opening, and not a problem in that. So why make that change? And the funny thing is, the car was sitting outside completely cold. It's barely getting warm right now. Like you can see, I put my hands on the engine. I can leave it in there. It's just barely warm. So that's not the case. So this was even at idle a problem. completely cold idle. So let me go back to the primary waveform. Let's pick up this one because I want to show you, and this is why it's so important for you to save. I already saved the one before, and knowing good. So as you can see, again, this is the burn line, and you can see, you know, very clean, and then a little go up at the end, and then the oscillations of the left of the secondary, you know, showing on the waveform from the primary. So let me actually open another. That's a good thing about the Pico software. I can leave this one running, and as you can see right now, another one is coming over because I don't want to close the one that I'm using. This will be considered as a no suitable scope connected, so this is going to be used as just for reference, so you can just click yes, use it on demo. Sorry guys for the extra time, but I think this is important for all of us getting new into waveforms and primary and secondary injector waveforms. So let's just stop this and let's go over to file, and then I'm going to click open, and that will be 01. So I have, you know, as you can see, I have the first one. It says so primary cylinder 6 and injector running. Sorry, Smith's a spell, but I was doing it as quick as as possible, and this is the link condition. So I'm gonna open that one. Waiting for the data. That's good. So this is when I was doing the acceleration, so I'm going to zoom a little bit out. Actually, I can do that just here. So I want not to be accelerated, I want just to be on idle, where we said that we have a known good form. This should be a clean one. So now in Picoscope you click that one for a zoom, and I'm just going to zoom into this part, and now we can see, comparing to again, the burn time looks clean, but then we have that spike at the end. You got the oscillations, which is okay. You got a spark that completely shows that we got a spark. One other thing we can measure, well, actually I think I measured before, it was the 393 on the so this is the nice thing about here. So we have one, and you can see we have, so I can go, that's the now running no link condition, and this is the link condition. Look at the difference at the end of the waveform on the primary with the injector working. This is when the injector wasn't working, and this is when the injector is working. So you can clearly see that there is still a showing of a link condition at the beginning of the waveform. So now I want to go to this one, the good one, to see what the primary voltage is. I don't suspect to have any changes on that, but I want to see if there's any. Gotta bring this down. Bear with me guys, I'm doing recording and everything with just one hand. I mean, you know, recording in one hand and the other one. That looks like the same. So the primary voltage doesn't change. I'm a little off the pick, so it's 393, the same thing. So I think this is very important. Now I had to find out why that injector is not working, because it's not heat related. Most of the times injectors are stuck closed, either for a burn injector or it's really dirty. So we have debris inside this injector, and the filter maybe is clogged and it's not letting it open, or is electrically the problem. Again, the issue with this is the access that I have in there is very limited for me to disconnect and check the resistance on the injector or something else. So let me think about it, what I wanted to do next, and I'll get you guys back in the video. All right, but it was, I think, very important. It was very good to capture that running good and running bad without touching anything. So I was just showing you guys where the wire it was, but I mean, I didn't do anything pretty much in there. So well, let's see. All right, guys, back into this. I start to analyze a little bit more of the waveforms that I captured, you know, when the car was running good. As in this case, well, we have a healthy, considered healthy driver on that computer. I have two cursors on that injector waveform, which is the red channel, or channel 2. And so the bottom one is reading 119 millivolts, and the second one 14.4, which is battery voltage with the car running. So this is the knowing good. Again, that's the primary waveform. Very good looking waveform, no link condition or nothing because the injector is working. But I want to take you also to the bad one when we have the issue. Again, I put a cursor on channel 2, red channel again, and we can see we had 67.3 millivolts. Knowing circuitry from an injector, which is just a coil, right? So as a solenoid, so we'll have a coil inside. If we have power, which I test before you know, condemning anything else, I check the power side. The power side is good. So if computer is not activating the injector as a bed driver, we will have a 12 volts or battery reading 14.14, which will be the voltage going from the positive side of the injector all the way through the coil and then on the other side. So that's an open circuit. Let's say, you know, we have a cut wire from the computer to the injector or a bed driver, which is not grounding the injector. We should read battery voltage in here, and that's not the issue. So this makes me believe, and I'm pretty positive, that what we have here, it was an open injector, an open on the coil. Why is now acting normal? Again, I was pretty positive that my connections were fine. The car was misfiring, and we got the codes. Obviously, looking at this primary, which is also very helpful to know the truth, we can see the primary voltage being very lean. If I show you again back, this is in acceleration. I can go back. Let me get rid of all this and take the zoom off. So we can go back to a capture where we have the car running an idle. I'm just going back to, like, let's call a normal waveform. So let's call this one a normal one. Again, we have no injector activation, but we have a clearly lean condition, no injection. So again, this is no injector pulse or open on the injector, which we will call this right now, based on the reading that we have on channel 2. Again, I'm going to put a cursor in here, and we have, let me go back, a little hard to put, like 462 millivolts. So again, this is an open on the injector. We have power in the other side, so this should go through the injector coil and then should show me a 12 volts, which means the injector is not being grounded by the computer or an open on the wire. So again, I was misspoken in the beginning of this video saying that we got a short driver, because it's not the case. If we will have a short driver, the injector will be, you know, dumping fuel all the time. We will be not, you know, having a lean condition. I mean, you can always have a short injector and a stock close. I mean, it's a little hard to say that, but you will have a waveform. It will have no hump on the injector waveform, but again, that's not the case in here. So this lead me to believe that the problem that we have is actually an open on the injector. Why is that start working again is hard to say, because this is electrically open. So I have the car, I'm going to let the car cool down again completely, which, I mean, it didn't really got too hot. I can still, you know, put my fingers on the car. I would probably say it's just warm to the touch. So just gonna keep the car a little longer, see if I can get it to act again. Otherwise it's just a bad injector, open injector. No, you know, looking at this, you know, good waveform when the car is running good, we have, you know, a very good power and a very good ground coming from the driver from the PC. So if I can get to react again the car, you know, not having an injection pulse in there, well, my test that I wanted to do will be to put a test light to power, and then on that same probe that I have on the injector, which is, you know, the wire coming from activation on from the computer driver. That will be, again, just to make sure that we do have that. But knowing and looking at the waveforms that we have, this is definitely an open injector. Alright guys, so I'm gonna just let it cool down and keep going with the diagnosis. Alright, now I got the car working, I mean reacting again. So this is the capture I got. Is for some reason is getting a little bit of an issue in between my scope and the screen. I run a USB wire from this scope to the, you know, to the screen on my laptop and then the secondary screen, but for some reason when it's running it's not liking the signal. Is it's either the USB cable is getting a little bit of a, I don't know, like a back signal from the spikes on the primary, that the scope or my screen is not liking, because there's no really issues on the computer or nothing. But well, either way, so I right now have no injector pulse. The car is misfiring, and actually go back to like 50 millivolts. I'm gonna start the car. You will see how my screen goes on and off. It's like not liking it too much, but I want to show you with the car running. See, the screen went off. This is off, and right now, like you can see, we got nothing. So again, I lost the signal in there on the screen. There's nothing in there, so I'm gonna stop this here. So this is a perfect chance right now for me to test a signal with a test light. So I'm going to take the scope away because I don't need it no more. You got some spikes in here. I think that's more like secondary than, secondary than anything else. It's actually in both signals, as you can see. Yeah, there are just spikes in there, but nothing is really happening. It seems like it's trying to come back to life, as you can see. So I'm going to remove the leads from the coil and from the injector itself. I'm just going to remove it here. I'm going to stop the video. I already got a test light connected to battery post in here. This battery is somewhere in the back, so we have a negative and a positive on the passenger side. Always test your equipment. So again, the test light is connected to power, so I'm going to just touch ground, and as you can see, my test light is coming on and off. So what I suspect, or I expect to have, is as soon as I connect the test light in there, I wanted to see a pulse into my test light. So let me set that up, get the scope out of the way, and just go with the test light. Alright guys, I got the test light connected to that injector, and as you can see, we got pulsation. So that definitely is an open injector. The misfire is going on right now. Hopefully you can see the wire shaking in there, and we got the checking light on. So this is definitely a bad injector. Okay guys, I hope you liked the video. And this will be just a diagnosis. If I get the repair, I most likely will record it, and then after repair. So hopefully you guys like the video, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks a lot, and I expect your comments to see if you use everything as you guys liked, and anything you want me to change, just let me know. All right, have a good day.